In this video, I will show you how to get cash buyers for your wholesale deals. Hey, my name is Court. I'm a data engineer. I have over 20+ million buyers. I know that a lot of real estate investors out there that want to tell you how to get a big buyers list. And I'm here to show you in this video how you can get all the buyers in a particular county you're trying to target. A lot of people out there always tell you to go to your local RIA, they tell you to go to Facebook to find buyers, they tell you to go to all these other different sources, title companies, all this other stuff. I'm here to show you how you can just skip all that process and just go straight to all the buyers in your account. I used to do that myself, and I just see myself running around jumping from place to place to get all this information, and it's not always centered right there for you to access and be able to display on a map to see where all your buyers are. Now, this works for any property type in your county. It could be land, lots, it could be anything. It could be apartment complexes, it could be commercial buildings, anything that the county receives property taxes for. Now, in each county it might be different, but for the most part it's kind of similar to the same. Now, this video might be a little technical for some people, but I will have other videos coming up soon showing you my entire process of how I do it in other counties. So the reasons you would want to do this is identify what properties that people are buying and selling. The second reason, you'll be able to see who is a buyer, who has properties, who owns what in your particular county. The third reason, if you have a deal of any asset type, you'll quickly be able to find a buyer for the deal that you have, and you'll be quickly able to contact them or send a mail or some kind of communication to get to them. The fourth reason, you won't have to call all the buyers before you have a deal. I mean, I see that as a huge waste of time. I know people do it, but I mean, if you already have what they buy and you see the trends that they're buying, and if the deal that you have matches the property that they're buying, contact them when you have a property that matches that type. So I see that as a quick and easy way to get straight to the buyer. The fifth reason is it saves time and money, and you'll have an updated list from your county. However quickly or how fast your county updates the list, you'll be able to have that right at your fingertips, and then you'll have an automatic way to update it, free, easy to use. So the sixth reason, you won't have to buy bandit signs. You can avoid other wholesalers or people who say they aren't buyers, and anyone else that's not investors and not what you're looking for. Also too, you don't have to use other softwares. I mean, this is free of charge. It comes with your county. You can access it directly. But there is a warning to this video. I have to be upfront about this. I personally, I've been able to get into contact with a lot of people that I otherwise wouldn't have thought I'd get in contact with. If you just call them and be very direct at what you're trying to do, what deal you have, to see if they're interested, and make sure you abide by all the local laws in your area. Just make sure you introduce yourself. Be very clear in a very professional manner on why you're calling them, and tell them what you have, and just be straight up. So the steps to begin doing this is that you will need the appraisal district records in your county, and you will also need the tax records, which is the tax roll in your county. So each county is different, but they kind of act the same. So if you go get these lists, the format could be completely different. It could be flat files, it could be CSV files or Excel spreadsheets. There could be a lot of different formats. So when I read through this, I spent a lot of time trying to find software to basically extract the information from the particular file. If you live in a big county, there's going to be a huge folder, and that folder will typically have spread out of information, and it's going to take up a huge amount of space. So that's just one folder from tax roll, and also too, if you do that for CAD, it's going to be a big huge folder as well. I used to use this technique myself to extract data from files and property information. This particular technique will save you time and money, and you won't have to pay for any software or any VAs to go and hand do some of the stuff I'm going to show you. So when you download these files, you want to store it somewhere. So what I did to store these large files, because I did a large county, is that I store them in Google Cloud. Also, to the alternative, you can use AWS, which is the Redshift platform. You can store it in there as well. But only use those if you're in large counties. If you're in a smaller county with less than 1 million properties, you can just download it to your computer and open it up in a Microsoft Excel. There's a certain amount of rows you have to have less than, so that number is displayed on the screen. If your county has less than that amount of properties, you won't have to worry about putting it in a data warehouse or use some of the products that I mentioned before, because you can just open it up on your computer. I mean, that has to be exact amount of rows on both the CAD file and the tax file, or the tax row file or folder, them in Microsoft Excel on your computer. If it's more than that amount, I recommend you use a software or some kind of database related software. So when you have these two files, you want to put them into or open them up into your software choice. Microsoft, I'm not too quite sure, But like I said, for my example, I'm in a big county, I use Google Cloud. So now once you have those two lists, you want to merge them together. Every county is different, but I know one thing that's common in all databases, which is IDs. These IDs are identifiers, or what will give you property records. It's distinct and unique nature to each record in your county. The property IDs have everything you need to know about each property, like the owner name, the property type, the deed transfer, the square footage, the property characteristics, etc. That all differs by how your county stored information. So what you want to do is merge both those files, or the folder of information. You want to merge what you need on IDs. So when you merge on IDs, you're able to get all the information that the tax office store and the CAD office store. So you're able to get the appraisal district and all the information pertaining to that, and you're able to store the tax record information. Once you have the merge complete, now there's many different ways to filter your list or your database once you have it merged together. Like I said, if you have less than 1,048,576 or less, you can just use Excel. I don't use Excel because my lists are always really big with millions of records, as you can see here. But if you download these large folders and need to store it in a data warehouse, like I mentioned before, you will have to use a language such as like TSQL or SQL to basically filter the list. If you need more information about that particular language and how to filter a big database, you can just go to Google and search Google. It'll come up. Now for the mapping software. Now you can use many different mapping softwares to use to plot your buyers list. I like to use Mapbox. You can see my list of contracts and builders and contact information in my map aggregated in the description below. You can use other mapping companies. I like to use Leaflet, sometimes Google Maps. When displaying this information, you will need, if your county doesn't have it, you will need latitude and longitude lines. Mapbox needs to detect your latitude and longitude lines for it to make a point on your map. So my county that I used didn't have longitude and latitude lines, so I had to do a little bit of programming to go out and get that information added to my list so that Mapbox can be able to display the information that I wanted. So if your county doesn't have longitude and longitude lines, what I use, and I think Mapbox has it, but what I use is Google Geocoding API. With that API, I just went around and added the longitude lines. I use this technique, but there are many problems with it. First problem with this is that it's a lot of work, but it can be automated to where you can just continue to keep doing it again every time you need a new list. Let me know in the comment section if you want me to show you how to automate that process. The second problem I have here is you don't have the contact information. Now I found a way to get behind LLCs using not so conventional ways. I have a more professional way of doing it rather than typing out or having a VA do it. Third reason is you can't get behind entities. I also solved that when I got the contact information. So that part of it is not a hassle for me, but I know that there's a lot of people out there that struggle with it. There's a lot of companies out there and other software companies you can go to that will do some of the work. They won't get you all of it, but the way I do it now will be able to get you all the contact information, all the people behind the LLCs. You won't have to jump around and look at a bunch of other different services just to get a couple names and a couple contact information. I mean, it's more of a streamlined process to just get straight to what you're looking for. Also too, you want to know any of the extra information about the property characteristics, like the pricing and stuff like that. Also too, the other problem with this is that you're not able to get the information in the next county. Sometimes you'll have a buyer that bought one property in the county you grabbed, but they bought like 15 properties in the next county over. So that particular buyer won't show up on your filter if they only bought one property and you filter it for like 2 or 3 properties. So I hope this video helped some of you out there in the field, and if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me. My email is in the description.